Hello, fourth grade scientists. On page 18, you should have looked at the plants and animals on the last slide and sorted them into 4 groups. You should have also put what each group had in common. If you haven't done this, we're going to do this right now. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you could sort these plants and animals. So if you did it in a different way, that's okay too, as long as your group has something in common. Let's go ahead and jump to the plants and animals and see if we can sort them. I like to think, okay, what patterns am I seeing as I'm looking at these plants and animals? If we start up at the top and we scroll through slowly, one thing that I'm seeing bristlecone pine. Well, I know that pine trees also often have needles. Lodgepole pine, there's needles there and cones. If I scroll down, the Douglas fir, oh, there's needles again with a cone. The Engelmann spruce, I know that that looks like a tree with needles. And subalpine fir, that looks like it has needles. Big tooth maple, that does not look like it has needles. And a bunch of other animals. Okay, do you see a pattern that we could make a group with? I do. I think that for my first group, I want to make it trees with needles that make pine cones. That's going to be my first group, and that's what they all have in common. Okay, what about group 2? Let's jump back to our plants and animals. And as I'm scrolling down, and actually, just to make a note, we could also say that all of these trees are what we call coniferous. Or in other words, they stay green all year long. Because if they have needles, then we know that they're coniferous. Okay, jumping forward to group 2, we're gonna do it again. And I'm gonna scroll through slowly and I'm gonna think, okay, what patterns do I see? Okay, Western coneflower. See, there's a center there, and they kind of look like petals. We can see the Wasatch Pentstemon, that looks like a flower. It looks like there's some stem and some petals on the top. Seagull lily, some petals. It's also our state flower. As I continue on, I'm looking for that same pattern of something with a stem and some petals. Well, it looks like we had a couple. I'm going to make that my third group. Flowers. And what do they have in common? They all have a stem and have some kind of top with petals. Okay. All right. Let's move on to group 3. Again, I'm going to start up at the top and scroll through. Aha! So I'm coming down here. All of these are animals, but is there a way that we could sort these animals? One thing that I'm noticing is that some of them are mammals and some of them are birds. So we've got Clark's nutcracker, mountain chickadee, mountain bluebird, western tanager. How are birds all the same? What makes them a bird? Well, if you're saying that they all have feathers, you're right. Let's make that our third group. Okay. And then last but not least, our fourth group is going to be, again, if we go back, we've got the American pika, black bear, elk, the mountain goat, snowshoe hare. Can you think of how these animals are similar? A rabbit is very different from a mountain goat. But if there's one thing that we can put the snowshoe hare, mountain goat, the elk, a black bear, they're all very different. But one thing they all have in common is that they all nurse their young. They're what we call mammals. So let's go ahead and make that our fourth group. Now, again, my friends, we could keep going. I bet there's other ways that maybe you sorted these, but if you got stuck and you weren't quite sure what to do, you can go ahead and fill in your 4 groups as I've done. Nice job, 4th grade scientists. And go ahead and pause the video if you need to and copy down what's on your screen.